your hosts, Andy and Nicole. Please put all questions in caps and start with it.
Let's go. Let's go.
Hello and welcome. A few minutes early. The reason being, Kevin's got a lot to do today, but it's a perfect time, and Nicole is running late. So we just thought we'd get in, start a little bit earlier, because normally I'm starting like 5 minutes late. So it's all good. So welcome back to the show, Kevin. We get full 2 hours with you today, as opposed to the 1 hour. Yeah. No, it's cool. As opposed to the 1 hour that we had last time. So do appreciate it. Thank you for coming back.
We ran out of time. It goes by so fast.
No, it does. Even the 2 hours
yeah.
It's just
there's so much to talk about because there's so many rabbit holes in this topic. We could literally speak for hours about it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's always a challenge. Have a list.
Yeah. Well, I've got all them screenshots that you sent me with the equational stuff on there. I've got all them. I've got 23 in total. So as and when you want me to put them on the screen, I've done them in order that you sent them. So if you just give me a shout as to which one you want on,
you got it.
We'll just go through that way.
And a lot of that, Andy, just so you know, is just for your own to kind of bring you up to speed of what I've been busy doing over the last few months and even a year now. So yeah, you betcha. I think we're on to something here.
Yes. Well, like we were saying before, when we was having the conversation earlier on today about intention. So me and Nicole have been saying this for quite a bit now. Intent and intention is very, very prominent in the paranormal, or not just paranormal, but the world in general, because if everything is done with intent, and I'm trying to like head towards like the positive side, then you're going to get good coming back. But I suppose it's going to be used for the not so good stuff as well, using intent. So there is a balance, and I think there has to be a balance of good and bad. Otherwise, you can't really have one without the other, can you? So
no, but it's a complex thing because I'll give you an example.
Yeah,
a police officer in the line of duty.
Yeah.
The specific act of having to kill someone is, in and of itself, might be viewed as bad. However, was it good if it saved a child? Yeah, I mean that. A lot of good and bad itself depends on the context that it's used. Yeah, and it's the same is true with intention. I think. No, a lot of this is postulated on my account. Andy, I got to tell you, I've been thinking about this for 20 years now.
Yeah.
And if we have time and if I can, I'd like to just kind of go through my idea on the role of intention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think it's been the missing link.
Mm-hmm.
The missing piece of the puzzle. Okay, this goes 20 years ago, all the way back to 2004 Tic Tac.
Yeah.
That's when I first really kind of became curious because after Fast Eagle flight intercepted that first object, Commander Fravor's own words, and also on radar, that object, whatever it was, disappeared right in front of their flight.
Mm.
And the really weird part is it went to their assigned combat air patrol station, of which there was 8.
Oh,
not close, Andy. It was exactly on the latitude, longitude, and assigned altitude.
Right.
So that always stuck with me. I was like, why and how? Why? How? It's a secret location. It was an exercise. We had those locations
Yeah.
set up to a mock air battle, right? And
Yeah.
no one knew about them except for us, at least, unless someone told them. But then again, this was an anomalous. It wasn't one of our bad guys doing role playing here.
Yeah.
In fact, that would have been illegal. You can't run an exercise on top of an exercise because I end up crashing my airplanes.
Oh,
Makes
yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah.
So, unless you have any questions so far, I'll kind of roll on with what I'm going towards here.
Yeah. So you said like the two guys, they went back to the base, and these things followed it. That knew that these things went back to the base and were there when the guys went back after doing the exercise. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. This was an exercise we had planned out for literally months, and we were getting ready to actually launch the aircraft for the exercise. But several advanced, I had been noticing these weird things coming down from outer space.
Yeah.
Suddenly they were back, and my airspace was felled for safety concerns. So I told Captain Smith, I didn't tell him. I explained the situation. I recommended we cancel the exercise for now and intercept one of these things and figure out what it is, because I was concerned about running into one, and then we had real problems on our hands.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it happened. So Fast Eagle launch, Commander Fravor. We suspend the exercise. We intercept the first object, and then that's kind of how it happened.
Right.
Commander Fravor hadn't even gone to his cap station yet. This was before all that. So, that stuck with me. Now, a lot of time went by, and there was a lot of story. There's a lot of story involved during that 20 years. But I'll kind of Rolex ahead, and then I'll end up having to backtrack a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course it is.
So anyway, long story short, I end up back in my hometown. This is 20 years later, almost 20 years later. I'm working down at the golf course, and the CNN story broke about the Tic Tac incident.
Yeah.
And I had hidden a book in the Library of Congress that fictionalized this whole story back in 2009, called Sailor's Anthology and the Seer. And I did that way back then, just in case the story ever became public, that my book would be evidence that it really did happen. So I ran out of there with my hair on fire, knowing I had evidence no one knew about.
Yeah. So
I called Gary Voorhees. We form a company, a nonprofit. We do an expedition off the coast of SoCal. We call it SoCal Expedition, SoCal X. It cost about $500,000. Caroline Corey is the one that produced the movie Terror in the Sky. And we had all this gear set up on the table at Huntington Beach. The sheriff came over and said, what are you crazy people doing, right? We were getting ready to get clowned here, looking in the sky at nothing. But all of a sudden, these objects showed up again.
Oh.
And that really got me thinking, like, how did they know that we were going to be here right in this moment in time? So that's when I kind of figured it out. It was intentioned. They knew my intentions 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
They
knew what you were doing before you even did it.
Before I even did it, both times in a row.
Yeah.
And so I really started to think about that, Andy, and I started thinking about intention. Okay, now let's think about intention. We see it everywhere, right? Turn on the news and you hear that word all day long. It wasn't his intent. It was her intent. It was his intent.
Yeah.
We use it loosely all day long, right?
Yeah.
But I have a question. Now, really, I'm going to roll you through the thought logic of how I came to this mathematics I'm going to present to you.
Yeah.
And it could be wrong. Don't get me. I'm not a mathematician. I had AI help me with this. I did the formulations and it did the heavy lifting. All right. So some of this alien mathematics you're going to see, although I can explain it, I didn't
calculate it.
Yeah, I didn't have to spend 12 years in college to figure it out, right? Okay, because I had help, because I understood it from the outside in, if you will.
Yeah, you just needed to put it into text.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what fluid dynamics equations look like, for example. But now I can look at them and understand them. It just happened anyway. Think about this. A basic question. This is a binary question, either yes or no, and I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
Is the universe intentional? Was it created intentionally? Well, it certainly appears to be intelligent, unless I'm mistaken. I mean,
Yeah.
but the truth is I don't know, right?
No.
So it's either yes or no. So let's go with yes.
Yeah.
Just because for a thought logic, a thought problem here. Okay, yes, it's intentional. My next question is, what happened to the intender? Did the intender of an intentional universe survive it, or did it commit a cosmic suicide? Again, I don't know.
No.
Let's say the intender of the intentional universe survived it. Okay, in what form? Is it active or benign? It's benign, never does anything, just clowns us, laughs at us forever. Or is it active? Again, I don't know. But here's the deal. If it's yes, if it is active, then by definition, it has to be a fundamental force in the universe. And I know of four already. I know we have gravity. I know we have strong nuclear. I know we have weak nuclear. And I know we have electromagnetism.
Yeah.
I submit that we actually have 5 fundamental forces.
Okay.
And I have actually, by mathematics, linked intention to the other 4 by equation. Yeah, and I've shared some of those equations for you. If you could, when you get a moment, you can find it, list my base equation. But basically, an intention is it's kind of like a living, breathing thing. It has a magnitude and it has direction.
Yeah.
And it also has a specific intent. Maybe your intention is negative. Maybe you have a neutral intention. Maybe you have a positive intention. And there's also a scale. Is it a micro intention or is it a macro intention? Then you have the fundamental forces. So intention is equal to specific intent plus a scale, and they can also be multiplications, by the way.
Yep.
Plus the fundamental forces. That's the basic equation for intention. So what I've done, hello there, welcome.
Hey.
Hey.
I got stuck
So
in
what I've
traffic.
done is I've taken my basic intention equations, and Andy, I've gone back through every math set that I can imagine.
Yeah.
And it's taken months. I have probably 100 derivations by now, and I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
And my work integrates perfectly with these other math sets.
Okay.
And not only that, they work.
Yep. Right. So I'm going to put.
Before you do that, who just joined you there?
The cat.
Oh, join me. That's my kitties. I have 19.
19
What?
cats? Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
like 4 inside and the rest outside. We got 4 dogs.
Oh, wow.
We live in the country, so I like to keep the critters out of the house.
Well, 19 cats will do it.
That's one way of doing it. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. I'm going to put the first one up. So this is the first one that you sent me today. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you.
So, do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, go for it.
Right. So, exploring the cosmic role of intention, a journey from the unknown to understanding. In 2004, as part of an extraordinary event that still defies conventional explanation, during the now famous Tic Tac UFO incident, a thing appeared, vanished before our eyes, and then reappeared at our assigned combat air patrol station. This was no mere coincidence. It was an anomaly that seemed to operate beyond the laws of physics as we understand them. Years later, during the filming of A Tear in the Sky, similar things appeared over Catalina Island, precisely where we gathered with the explicit intention to capture them on film. This uncanny recurrence left me questioning whether intention, our conscious desire to observe, played a role in this phenomena. In the summer of 2024, I found myself deeply consumed by the idea. Sorry, 1 second. By the idea that the intention might not just be a psychological construct, but a tangible force with measurable effects on the universe. With the help of ChatGPT, I began to codify these ideas, blending mathematics, physics, and philosophy into a comprehensive framework. As its core, my work processes that intention acts like a fifth fundamental force in the universe alongside gravity, electromagnetism, and nuclear forces. I call this concept the Unified Cosmic Intention Postulate, UCIP. The central idea is that intention, whether at the micro individual in brackets or macro collective in brackets level, can influence outcomes much like physical forces shape matter and energy. Oh, so I just had to move my camera while I read it.
That's why.
Yeah.
So do you have any questions about that, or is that as clear as mud so far?
You know, it does actually make quite a bit of sense. I'm going to put it back up a second. So it's like you're saying, it's an intention is then going to be very similar to manifestation, if not being the same thing.
Yeah, I always kind of counted those two things as the same thing. Like you are manifesting your intent.
Yeah.
And I think that we do it all the time.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Like in golfing, I've taken these equations and I've applied them back into sports psychology, for example. And I've no kidding, I've noticed that it really helps me when I address the ball, when I stand over the ball in golfing. Yeah. Because I'm able to it allows me because I know that I've already accounted for all the other effects on the ball because I'm thinking about the equation. What it really does is it allows me to focus entirely on my stance and hitting that ball because I have the confidence of knowing everything else has been addressed.
Yeah.
Because I think of it in terms of the physics of the equation itself. Yeah. I know it's hard to, and there's so many applications of this work. Do you have the one of the basic equations? Maybe you could set that up. Like it's probably the shortest one. Some of these equations I've come up with are they take up the whole page. That's a later derivation. It's quite complex, actually. It's a.
Oh, do you want me to?
It's going to probably be the one. This is Julia's. This is where I'm integrating it back into the. I started with the Mandelbrot set, and right. I've integrated with all the fractals, or most of the fractal sets, right. Because I've noticed. Yep.
Oh, this, yeah. So that's
a man. Go ahead and read that.
Yeah, Mandelbrot set. Right, Nicole, do you want to read it?
Yeah. Well, basically, we've all seen Mandelbrot's. Think of the Paisley, where it's the design is self-iterative. It just keeps it keeps repeating itself over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
That's basically what the Mandelbrot set is. And so what I did is I've noticed that intention kind of operates in the same way as a Mandelbrot. Right. Intention is like a when you throw a pebble into a pond, it creates ripples in the water.
Yes.
And intention does the same thing. And intention can create a ripple on the space-time, and it ripples out, and it can have different effects on other things. And it tends to follow the forms of fractals.
Right. So with you saying
fractals and intentions are very strongly related, I think.
So with you saying how that works, like as soon as you said about when you throw a pebble into a pond and it causes the ripples, what if them ripples are not that close together? What if each ripple could be like 10 years apart or 15 years apart or 6 months apart? Could that be why it's not a constant running of things going on, and that's why you get a big gap?
You mentioned one aspect of it. You mentioned time, the temporal, right? But you also have space. a space can also cross the universe. You got space time. It's a space intention is a space time phenomenon. I believe there's an intention field. It's generate because if intention is a physical force in nature, then it has an intrinsic force like gravity does, or electromagnetism does. It has its own intention field, which can be explained mathematically, which I've done with the help of AI, of course. But I honestly did formulate all this work. I would think about it, and then I would come back and I would sit down and hammer it out. And I still do it. Every day I think of new derivations of this. Anyway, go ahead. I know this is a lot to take in, and I got to tell you, you guys, I could be dead wrong about all this, and I'm willing to accept that. But I think I have the best damn theory I've ever heard. And here's another aspect of it. I'm going to kind of digress from intention for a second because it's related. I've asked myself also this. It seems to me that UAP has been kind of ramping up in the last 20 years. So it's kind of in the news again, unless I'm mistaken. And the question becomes why? Why now? And one of the answers I come up with is AI. Because if I assume that UAP is related to non-human intelligence, then I also have to assume that at some point in its evolution, that non-human intelligence also had to cross the hurdle of AI. Yeah. And obviously they didn't kill themselves. So just maybe they're here to help us. And the other reason why I think they're here is they've always been here.
Yeah.
So that part's not new. But the reason why I think they're here, and they've always been here, believe it or not, is to spread life in the universe.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because when you think about life, we got to talk about DNA. And we know that DNA, and again, I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not a chemist, and I'm not a biologist. I'm none of that. I'm just amateur researcher, right? But I do know that DNA is formed with the lattice of phosphates on the ladders and sugars on the rungs.
Right.
Inorganic sugars.
Yeah.
So where is the purest form of those on the planet? Well, they're found at hydrothermal vents down at the bottom of the ocean.
What?
I believe that they have mining claims here on Earth. Earth is a nursery in the cosmos. Not the only one, but we're one of the nurseries in the cosmos, and they've been coming here for eons, gathering the ingredients necessary for life, taking it out to other places in the universe, putting them on potential host planets so that maybe 1 billion years from now, life will form.
Yeah.
That's the best theory I've ever heard. I got to tell you, I've never heard a better one. And if you have, let me know.
Why do you think they need to do that? Why are they seeding planets?
I think they're seeding planets. And one of the reasons why I believe that, because back in 2004, when I detected these objects off the coast of Catalina, they were coming down from sub-Earth orbit down to about 80,000 feet in groups of 5 or 10 at a time. And then they would drop down in less than a second to about between 20 and 28,000 feet off the east coast of Catalina Island, right there off SoCal by San Diego and that area, Los Angeles. And then one by one, a single object. Remember, these things could travel as fast as they wanted, apparently.
Yeah.
It would depart, almost like it wanted us to see it. It would depart the main group and travel right above us, going about 100 knots, 100 miles an hour or so, all the way down. And every single object, and there was about 100 of these things. If you added them up over the course of 10 days, every single one of these things disappeared off my radar. And remember, my radar is moving all over my radar envelope's moving everywhere. Every single one of these things disappeared in the same spot in the sky. And apparently they dropped straight out of the sky down into the ocean. Now, when I told Louis Elizondo and Tom DeLong this story, sitting right where I am now when they came to the house, or maybe I was sitting over there, I don't remember. They stopped me and they said, "We're going there." So they went out to Guadalupe Island.
Yeah.
And they talked to the fishermen, and the fishermen kind of laughed at them. They said, "What took you guys so long? We've been seeing these things drop from the sky for centuries." I don't want to put words in their mouth, but that's the best of my recollection of what happened. So I started thinking about it, and even now you pick up Google Earth and you can look down at the sea bottom and you can see some odd seamounts down there. It might be one of their mining claim areas. As crazy as that sounds. And believe me, I know it does. But
no, that actually makes sense.
Tell me about your theory. I'm all yours.
So what do you think about the theory that these UAPs or UFOs are coming from under the water?
Absolutely. That's where the hydrothermal vents are.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Do you think it's more likely that they're coming from under the water, or they're coming from like outer space, or both?
Both. They can enter the water seamlessly.
Yeah.
Like it's not even there.
So what?
They've been caught going hundreds of miles an hour under the water.
Yeah. So what if their origin
according to reports?
Yeah. What if their origin is below the seabed, and like Kevin said, that they're going out seeding different planets because they want to exist elsewhere in the universe?
Yeah, I call it a form of transpermia. Like you've heard the idea of transpermia for evolution on life on Earth.
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't it be the same in the cosmos?
Oh yeah.
Especially if intention is a real thing, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we are, I think I'd speak for Nicole as well, strong believers of intent and intention. And I think we owe that to Brandon Thomas more than anyone else, because it was him that like kind of put us down that rabbit hole, literally. The deeper you go with like words and spelling and all that kind of stuff, there's more and more of that content makes so much more sense now than it did before I understood what.
I'm sorry, you what, Andy?
Intent meant. Understood. Sorry, understood, not understood. Yeah.
The cool thing about my ideas, you guys, I think, and again, I could be wrong. Okay, let's not get too carried away with my ideas here, because I'm ready to be wrong about this. Believe me, I am.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about my ideas, intention isn't just a metaphysical idea anymore. If I'm right, it's now physical. And what this does for us is it relates to metaphysical directly to the physical, which is a huge, huge, huge discovery.
Yeah.
If I'm right, this is profound. This could actually change a lot of human understanding.
Oh yeah. But it's like
because you can do math. You can do mathematics with it. You can use it for prediction models. You should have seen some of the prediction models I was coming up with during the election. I was getting my results were more accurate than what you see on the news. All these things that going on now, I predicted them based on interpretations of my math models.
Yeah.
I was screaming all summer long. I don't want to get carried away with politics, but I gave every warning under the sun to anyone that would listen.
Yeah.
And I showed the math.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all.
So,
But
what else does your model predict?
I'll tell you what. Throw me a question and I'll do it for you.
right, here we go. I'm going to throw this one in then.
Yeah, do it.
So this is one from David. So David's put the closest planet proven to be able to sustain life is 4.3 light years away. It's impossible to travel at the speed of light, therefore taking thousands of years to get there. Here, why come here for resources? But then nickname put in the chat, not thousands of years for them. Spend time, got the tech portals, which is pretty much what I was going to say anyway. But going back to what David said, sorry, 1 second. There we go. Why are they coming here for resources if we're so far away? Is it because there isn't anywhere else that have got the DNA or
The necessary ingredients,
the equipment? Yeah, the mix of what they need to sustain life.
What was the person's name that asked the question?
David Burke.
Dave, man, that's an excellent question, and trust me, I've thought a lot about this. And the part of what we're dealing with here is there's no clear answer on any of this stuff. You are referring to the Drake equation, if I'm not mistaken, that estimates the number of civilizations in the universe and approximately how far away they are. If I'm not mistaken, you're referring to the Drake equation, which I actually have adopted in some of my work. And what I've taken the Drake equation and the Bell equation, and I've combined them as part of a prediction model. So it's funny that you ask about this. And quite frankly, I don't have an answer. I mean, truly, it's a profound question, and maybe there's civilizations closer, or maybe maybe there's a part of this that we don't quite understand because we're basing this on the speed of light.
Yeah,
186,000 miles. You know, it goes pretty goddamn fast. I didn't mean to cuss. Sorry.
No,
But
you're okay.
I will posit this, and I'm not saying this is the reason, but how fast is entanglement travel? When two atoms or two electrons or two photons are entangled, when I change the state of one, what happens to the state of the other, even if they're across the universe? It immediately changes to the opposite state. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how far they're separated. So I'm not necessarily basing the number of civilizations based on the speed of light. I think there might be other explanations that are either in play now or will be at some point.
Yeah.
But David had an excellent question, and I wish I had a better answer. I just don't.
No, that's cool. It's better to be honest than just make something.
Yeah, and I'm not a cosmologist. You know, I'm a amateur researcher, and I've done a lot of research in geology too. So,
cool.
I mean, seriously, David, I'll get up. I'll have to be up at 2-3 in the morning just studying this kind of stuff. Just because I'm so fascinated by it. But then again, I go to bed early, so just kind of works. Because a lot of this stuff is so tedious. You got to get up early or you get bugged and it doesn't sink in.
Yeah, see, I do sometimes, like when I've had the guest on like yourself, and it's really intense, deep conversations about God knows what. And I wake up in the middle of the night, like I said, like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I just want to get up now and start like researching it, but then it's like, but I've got to stay in bed because I'm up in 3 hours for work. Unless it's a weekend, then it doesn't. Unless it's a weekend, it don't matter. But it's. I know exactly what you mean. But going back to what you were saying before about intent, I actually did this today. I like proper push my intent to get something done and I managed to do it because I need. This is where I'm telling you without telling you. I needed to do something to prove something to somebody without actually telling them I was doing it, to make myself feel better for doing it. Right?
Another episode of Andy Explains.
So as a Schrodinger's cat, there.
So I had to do something to prove to myself and to someone that that's not going to happen because of X, Y, Z. And I managed to do it and get it done. And it's like, and then when I did it, it's like, up yours. It was one of those, but without anyone actually knowing. But I knew it myself that I'd done it, but the intent was there and it worked. Every single little thing I did throughout the day worked, and it did. And it's like everything was absolutely spot on. So, well impressed. That's all I can tell you off air, but I can't tell you while we're doing this now.
I love when you explain stuff without saying what it is.
Yeah, the ability is more pronounced in some than it is others, I think. Especially if you're aware of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I was intent on being intent. That's what I'm trying to say. And it worked. And it worked the way that I wanted it to. Usually I'm like, oh, let's see if it works, but I'm not 100% of doing it. I'm just like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But today I was adamant. I was adamant that it's going to work.
And here's a caution for you. Now that you know that it works,
yeah,
I would caution you to be careful what you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Because that works too.
I just blunt my mind.
Yeah.
Like no talking negatively.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
No, nothing.
Yep.
No negativeness.
It adds up. And I have mathematics that describes that too. I kind of mentioned it earlier, and it's kind of hard to find in all the graphics I sent you, but I'll try to do it verbally. And David brought it up. He was mentioning, based on the speed of light, how is it that a civilization so far away has to come all the way here to get what it needs when there's probably other nurseries out in the cosmos too? And that's based on the Drake, right? So what I did is I took the Drake equation and the Bell equation, which has to do with the entanglement, right? So I married them together and related it to intentions. And I kind of figured out that micro intentions, like I'll give you an example and I'm not going to go into politics, what side I'm on or anything, but it provides a really good example. What's going on in politics in the United States right now is you've got a new president in office, and he's coming in with a sledgehammer, and he's basically breaking the government to reform it. Okay, that's the idea. Well, not everyone's taken that well, and right now you've got all these you've got this foment kind of building, all these micro intentions, if you will, right?
Yeah.
They're starting to build. And at some point, if something's not done to intervene, to provide some sort of decoherence to that actual equation that's happening, right? At some point, those micro intentions are going to transition into a macro level event.
Yeah.
And I call it the Phil's equation, the future intention likelihood scale. Phil's future intention likelihood scale. And I can break down the probabilities or the likelihoods that certain things are going to happen in the future based on history, because the AI goes back and gets historical records. Okay, based on this person's character and history, it pulls that in. It uses the power of AI number crunching, and it uses my equations, and it spits out probabilities and predictions.
Right.
And I'm telling you, my models work better than anyone's I've ever seen, and I will put money on that.
Right. I just say something about AI? Because I use AI quite a lot, as most of you guys know. But I use it for like creating content when I've got like write a bio and that. Because me and Nicole are on another show tomorrow, so we both had to do a bio, and I'm really lazy, and I use AI for everything. So I did my AI using, can't remember which app. I think it's the one that you get on your iPhone, and it was saying like my name and the YouTube channel and the podcast and all that kind of stuff. And then it went into some like Norwegian award-winning something or other.
Wow.
Right?
You never told me.
is-
That's why you like ABBA so much?
But this is still about me, and I'm like reading through it. I'm like, well, that's a load of crap straight away. That's not. You know what I mean? Never been there, know nothing about it. But when I searched that on the internet, there was nothing on there. So was that AI either making stuff up or seeing something in the future?
Yeah.
AI is messing
Already.
AI can hallucinate. Yes, it can.
Well, it definitely did. Had me hallucinating for a few minutes.
Just like humans can hallucinate. Some of the same phenomena that is involved. I think it can hallucinate.
It was just this. Just
I'm still figuring it out along with the rest of the planet. So, but I was an early adopter of it, and I'm probably a lot farther ahead than a lot of people because I've used it so much, and I figure out how to make it work for me. Without totally doing like plagiarizing and stuff. I use it as a tool, much like you would a calculator. It's just a tool. You still have to do the formulating. And you get the best. In fact, if you think about this, you know who should be the most inferior jobs right now?
Go on.
It isn't the person out here picking tomatoes. Nope. They used to be inferior to their jobs. Now the people who really are inferior to their jobs are the lawyers, the doctors, the engineers, the chemists, because the knowledge that they had a monopoly on is now freely available.
Yep.
So my prediction is the newest job category is going to be English majors.
Why is that?
Well, because the best way to get good results out of AI is to ask really good questions. It all depends on the questions that you ask. The better questions that you ask, the better results you get. The better formulation and structure that you use AI with, the better results you get. And that I just described an English major.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And you think about there's three types of logic. You got deduction, you got induction, but there's a third kind of logic a lot of people aren't aware. It was called abduction. Abduction is a creativity part. Now that we have AI, it does my deductions, it does my induction reasoning, but it still kind of needs the human to do the creative part, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To a certain, at least to a certain extent, even when auto-generated stuff comes online, it's still humans are still going to have a part to play in this, because a lot of this can be based on what we can think and formulate.
Yeah.
Because again, AI is just a tool, but if we adopt it to what we do, it's going to be powerful. But it also has its cautionary sides. Just like intentions can be neutral, or they can be negative, or they can be positive, so can AI itself.
Yeah.
We're about to find out, I think. Which is another reason why they could be here right now. So we don't blow ourselves up.
That's a good reason for him to be here, I think. If not
the
best
hope,
reason.
right? You would hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people think that, but why do they care if we blow ourselves up?
Because their mission is to seed life in the universe. And that would be counter to their prime directive, if I'm right about that. They love us, or otherwise they would have wiped us out a long time ago. I got to tell you, during 2004, damn good thing those things were not hostile because they kicked our butts. There's nothing I could have done to defend the ships. Number one, I didn't have any armament on board because it was an exercise. But even if I had armament, it wouldn't have done any good at all. I mean, anything that can go from 20,000 feet down to 50 feet above the ocean in 0.78 seconds is something maybe you can't defend against. I would have to.
Yeah.
I
get all that. Yeah. Because I suppose the
No,
tech that they, I was just going to say, the tech that they've got and the tech that they use has got to be so much more advanced than what we've got. But then,
oh boy,
again, contradictory in the world of the paranormal, they haven't got the ability to recreate life in other parts of wherever.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because I think it's entirely possible that these objects, whatever they were, they didn't necessarily have to have biological pilots inside them, if you will.
Yeah.
The material that the objects were made out of itself could have been alive.
Yeah, like biomechanical.
At the nano level, yeah.
Yeah.
Infused with intention. Infused with intention, if you will.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
That makes sense if it's intention driven rather than like.
No, David asked a good question. Anyone else have questions?
Yeah.
We have a lot of questions.
Go ahead, fire away.
Here we go. So this is the first one from Blue Shift. Thank you, Blue Shift, for your question. And it is for Kev. Is Kev familiar with aerogel filled craft?
One more time.
Is Kev familiar with aerogel filled craft?
Aerogel.
Aerogel. AEROGEL.
Unless they're talking about liquid metal, no, I guess.
I've never heard of it, so I couldn't tell you. Nicole's looking it up now, so we'll find out.
Well, I know they're using liquid metal to protect from neutron bombardment in nuclear reactors, and now for shielding and spacecraft too. So I'm not sure that's what they're talking about, but
aerogel craft comes up as a crafting material in the video game Subnautica.
What?
I don't think that's what he's talking about.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's that. But Sober's just put, he was going to buy some aerogel to machine it to see how good it was. But it's like £400. So it's like $500 for 6 inch by 6. Oh, 6 inch by 6 inch by 2 inch, or 6 foot by 6 foot by 2 inch.
Okay, here's aerogel from NASA.
Some kind of metal.
Picture preparing a bowl full of sweet gelatin dessert. The gelatin is mixed with hot water, and then the mixture is cooled until it sets. It is now a gel. If it was placed in an oven and all the moisture was dried out of it, all that would be left is a pile of powder. But imagine if the dried gelatin maintained its shape even after the liquid has been removed. The structure of the gel would remain, but it would be extremely light due to low density. That's aerogel.
Right. It was 6 inch by 6 inch by 2 inch, and it was $500 for a half a square foot and 2 inches thick.
And it looks like.
So what's special about it? I know it can't taste very good. Huh?
It's expensive.
And it looks like an ice cream sandwich.
Oh, marshmallow thing, innit?
Yeah, here's a little explanation.
It's polymer reinforced aerogel. It's stronger than a lot of things.
Gotcha.
It's very light.
Gotcha.
Oh, so it's NASA's Glenn Research Center in Cleveland that invented it.
Mm-hmm.
Strong light material. Now I recall what he's talking about. Okay. So he's suggesting that these objects could have been made from aerogel.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. Possible.
$23,000 a pound for aerogel.
Entirely possible. I don't think they were waveform testing though. There was one of the theories that they were doing waveform testing, and that's what we detected.
Right.
No, I don't believe so, because we had human eyeballs on these things, and they're actual physical object. You know, radar waveform testing wouldn't do that.
So what
It would create an electronic signature on my radar detection.
Yeah,
It's
I want to
10 times
know.
stronger than steel, but very, very light.
Yeah.
There you go. Right, I want to know. So when you was on the radar and you picked up these objects, what was your initial reaction? And you are allowed to swear if necessary.
WTF? Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Well, let me explain this to you. That's actually a really good question. I joined the Navy in 1986. I did really well in radar school, and I got first choice orders out of 90 people, right?
Yeah.
Because I was a little bit older, and I really wanted control over because you're standing in the class gave you a choice of orders, right, where you were going to go. So I applied myself. So I chose the first spy radar ship in West Coast called Vincennes, CG-49. And I made my first deployment in 1988. And we went to, the Iran-Iraq war was going on, and we were worried about the oil tankers coming in and out of the Arabian Gulf. We called it the Persian Gulf at the time.
Yeah.
And it was my very first deployment. I didn't know anything about air defense. In fact, I was standing in a navigation watch. But my general quarters station had me right behind where the captain sat in Combat Information Center. I mean, literally as close as I am to the computer right here.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're in the Gulf, normal operations, and all of a sudden our helicopter gets too close to the Iranian international waters, and the ball hammers came out and shooting ensued. Our helicopter got shot at. So we go to general quarters. We try to get, and the ball hammers start coming at us. So we start engaging the ball hammers, and we ended up sinking 9 of them. We get the helicopter back on board, and we're trying to get the hell out of town, right? To get back on our side to just deconflict this thing. And all of a sudden, this aircraft launches out of Bandar Abbas, out of Iran, right?
Yeah.
And there was a misidentification. It's hard.
No, you okay?
Captain stood up, turned the key, 2 missiles, and we shot down a commercial airliner.
Wow.
296 people.
Jeez.
I may have known someone on that flight.
Yeah.
One of my best friends was Iranian. That hurt. Still hurts. Almost got out. But some part of me said, no. Stay in and make damn sure this doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I applied myself. Ended up going to Top Gun school. In my mind, at least, I became one of the best. My career went on. I ended up doing 6 different sea duty commands, 4 different ships, not including the aircraft carriers I was on. 2004, November rolls around, and I'd always, safety of flight, my whole career. I was a real dick about it. Obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
Especially for commerce. So when 2004 rolled around, when I was always a listener, Coast to Coast AM, Art Bell, George Norrie.
Yeah.
So I would always been open-minded about maybe finding UFOs on my radar someday, but it never happened.
No.
But if it had, I would have entertained it, until my last time on a ship. This was my last time ever on a ship in uniform. And oddly enough, my first time was on the Vincennes when we shot down the airliner, Flight 655. This was my last time. I go up into combat. We're getting ready to roll the exercise. Happy-go-lucky. We're pulling back into port. I'm going to transfer to my new, what turned out to be my last command. I was going to retire right off into the sunset, right? So I'm up there doing it, taking notes for the exercise. I'm the lead trainer. I have to do the after action report, get everybody trained because the ship's going on deployment. I'm leaving when we get back to port. So when this thing happened, right, everyone on the Nimitz and the other ships on the strat group, we got clowned. We got made fun of because all anyone heard was UFO.
Yeah.
They did cartoons in the newspapers. The ships got back to port. We went to post-ex meetings, and you should have seen the response. People looking down their notes like this, like, UFOs, huh? I mean, it was, you remember how it was. It was a career ender, even for, especially comm air pilots and stuff. Just something you didn't talk about, right? And so we got clowned. So I started to get upset, right? So I retired, went to Department of Defense with a contractor. Same thing happened again. And it got to the point so bad that I started to be real careful about who I even told about it. I got so upset, I quit. I wrote this book called Sailor's Anthology, just in case the story ever became public. I would put evidence in the Library of Congress. Years went by, working at the golf course.
Yeah.
Bringing a plate of food out. Golf tournament interrupted. CNN. By CNN.
Yeah.
That video I hadn't seen in 20 years, almost 20 years, was playing suddenly.
Wow.
Imagine my shock.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It was almost like it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
I know that's probably not the case, but that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of backstory has happened. That's some odd serendipities that are really hard to explain throughout this whole time.
Yeah.
Like a sequence of events that you would have changed even one thing, I might not even be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
That's true for all of us, I know, but
oh yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So anyway, I hope I answered that question effectively, but
yeah, definitely. Sorry for you getting upset.
No, it's I think it's healthy.
Okay.
I think it's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Do you want to do a quick break before we dive into the rest of the questions?
I was just going to say, we'll do a break and have a bit of time out. It's only 1 minute 11. I've shortened everything down except the outro. So, we'll do 1 minute 11. There is a countdown on there. So we'll see you guys in a little over a minute. Get your questions in for part 2. See you guys soon. Oh,
He's been
I
abducted.
don't know what happened then. That is supposed. Was that a minute 11?
I don't. Maybe.
That was definitely not a minute 11.
I don't know.
I think
It
it
might have
was.
been.
You know,
A minute goes quick.
that was far too quick. Even I weren't ready, and I've got a countdown in front of me.
I don't. I just waited for the music.
Yeah, sorry, everyone. But
More time anomalies.
Yes.
Oh, you were going to. I'm not sure what you did. Oh well.
No, I think I need to change that because
It might
that
need to be
was
just a smidge longer.
yeah.
No creepy voice.
No, we can have a longer break if you want.
I'm ready.
Are you ready to go? I think I'm going to bin that break off and just do. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so we are back for part 2.
Yes.
Thank you for staying with us, and hello to everyone that's just joined us. So we have got some more questions for Kevin.
We do.
And thank you for being our guest today. And
You're welcome.
So
We'll
next
start.
question. Oh, are you going to start?
No, I'll let you start. It's all right. Ignore me.
I was just going to go from the top. Nickname wants to know, has or does Kevin work with Ryan Graves?
Basically, I don't. One of the odd things about this whole thing is one of the reasons why I even came out in the first place. Remember, I had moved on. I published my book in the Congress, and I had moved on in life, and I had pretty much let this go, and my book was there just in case. Until Commander Fravor went public. And when that happened, I rushed home and I got a hold of Gary Voorhees, who's working the computer central on the ship on the Princeton. And I said, hey, Gary, we were there. We can't let Commander Fravor twist in the wind here. We have to come out and support him. So that's what happened. That's how we got the SoCal X expedition going, and one thing led to another. But I have to tell you, to this moment, not a single officer involved has ever told either of us thank you.
Oh,
In fact, I've never talked to any of them.
wow.
Oh.
And
That's
I don't
weird.
know why.
They would reach out.
I don't appreciate it. And I've lost a lot of respect for them because of it.
Yeah.
I would have never done that to them if the situation had been reversed. And if they think for a moment I've profited from this in any way, shape, or form, then they are dead wrong. I've never taken a penny
No.
for any of this. Now, it is true that I've gone to conferences, and the reason why I can go is because someone pays my way. Otherwise, I couldn't go. It's that simple. And
Yeah.
because of that, I've done a lot of stuff on Zoom because no one can afford it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I that book in Congress, for example, you can buy it on Amazon right now. The reason why I published it on Amazon, just so you know, wasn't to sell it. It was so that I could get copies of it if I ever needed them in the future. And I have over the years, I've gotten more copies of it. Number one, I have no idea how many books have sold. And number two, I don't know where the money's going.
Right.
Because I don't really care. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not why I wrote the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I didn't write it to make money. It served the purpose that I wanted it to serve, and I'm cool. So who's ever making money with it, have at it. I don't care.
That's it. Just getting your stuff out there. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Same as what we're all doing. Or most of us, anyway. Right, we've got a few more questions for you. You spoke about this, but I'm gonna put it up there anyway. So You're on about Catalina Island. So this is from Nickname. So she's saying, welcome back, Kevin. What can you say about Catalina Island? And if there is an underwater base, Google used to show something looking like it, but we all know about scrubbing, keeping old maps.
I think the answer is definitely yes. In fact, I have a buddy, I'm not going to say his name at the moment. I don't have permission, but he has a submersible. And he's planning on an expedition to go out there and check out some of these odd anomalies that are around Catalina Island, and there definitely is.
Yeah.
I mean, something drew these objects to that spot. Why there, you know?
Do you think it has something to do with like the electromagnetic fields and things like that, like Skinwalker Ranch? All the anomalies there?
Mm-hmm.
I could only guess. But I definitely think it has to do with something that's on the bottom of the ocean. Yes.
Do you know if anybody's ever done experiments there?
What do you mean by experiments?
Like, see if anything is off or unusual, like compasses going weird, or kind of Bermuda Triangle-y things.
The electromagnetic.
Not to my knowledge. No, not to my knowledge. I could be way wrong about that, but not to my knowledge.
No. Cool. Thank you.
Next one is also from Nickname. She's on a roll.
Oh.
What does Kevin think about the latest whistleblower and being able to mind control these UAP?
I don't think it's impossible. Because again, I think intention is a real thing. And maybe they are gifted in that way. Then again, they could be just nuts. I don't know. But just like I could be. I mean, just like my theories could be totally wrong. I don't know.
No.
And at first, when I first shared my ideas with some, I'll just say prominent physicists that I do know, and I won't say their names, I kind of got some pushback until I started showing them how I integrated it into their own work. And then now it's crickets. I think they're kind of stumped by what I've come up with here a little bit.
But that's the thing, though. Unless you're going to put your theories and research out there, it doesn't matter how crazy or what's opposite of crazy.
There's been other non-mathematicians that have come up with some pretty incredible works.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter what it sounds like unless you put them ideas out there. Then no one's going to know, because a lot of people. Well, I know a few people that do research. I'm not going to name names, but they just take bits from other people, put it together, and use it as their own. But people like yourself that have studied it for years and it like half the life or whatever, and like you said, you're up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning because you've got an idea in your head, and you get and sit down and you work on it and you work out how it's feasible, how it won't work, and how it could work. By doing that's the sort of thing that we need. Whether it turns out you're completely wrong or you're 100% correct or even 50% correct, that regardless of any of that, these ideas need to be put out there for us all to think about. Because same again, unless they're there is no intent. There is no intention. And I think all of us need to have that little bit of something to grab onto and then work up from that. Even if it's just a couple of years research, it doesn't matter how much. There needs to be something there for that you were saying before about ladders and rungs, that first rung. Once you get on that, then you can only go up, can't you?
Yeah, and that was you just hit on the dilemma that I had. At some point I realized all this work that I was doing had the potential of getting lost.
Yeah.
I mean, what if something happened to me and I was to get killed in a wreck or whatever, and then now it's all on my computer and no one ever sees it. So what I decided to do is I've been putting it all on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
So just about every time I come up with something, I dump it on my Facebook page. Not so much to say, hey, look at me, I'm so smart, smarty pants guy. No.
Yeah.
I'm putting it there for a couple reasons. One, so it'll be there when I go to write a book. I'll be able to find it.
Yeah.
And two, to preserve it. It's somewhere out there, not inside my house where it can get destroyed by a fire or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, at some point, I'm going to have to go back through all the threads and collect everything into one spot, which is going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, bit of a mission.
If anybody out there that's listening wants to help me with that, I'll give you a mention in my book. Put it that way. No, it's going to be going back over the course of last year and going down through all the threads and pulling up all the work, just saving it for now, and we'll organize it later.
Yeah.
But what you say is absolutely true. You got to put it out there and kind of be fearless, because you could get laughed at. Because I'm using abductive type of logic, and sometimes you get lucky with that.
Yeah,
that's how it works. And sometimes you get laughed at. That's how it works.
And also, you putting it out there and putting your work out there can inspire someone else to look at your work, kind of expand on that, and either prove it right or prove it wrong. But whatever they're doing, they're adding to it.
And 8 years from now, I'm long gone or whatever, someone else discovers what I'm working on.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to say they're the discoverer, because I can predate what they've done by years. Someone can stand up and say, "Oh no, you're not. We had this guy did it 10 years ago. No one knew about it."
Yeah, but it's only like, going off tangent quite a lot, like musicians. How many people are inspired by different musicians throughout the decades? Do you know what I mean? Like, how many groups and artists out there now that are inspired by Elvis or by the Beatles or
oh my gosh,
Oasis? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's the same sort of thing. They need that kickstart. I'm not necessarily inspiration, but they need a kickstart for them to. They want to go out and do the research and work out stuff for themselves.
You're talking about fractal iteration.
Is it?
What you described is it can be, if you think about it in terms of math, it's a fractal.
Right. Okay.
It's a self-iterative sequence of events that replicates itself over and over and over and over and over. That's what intentions do. Like that original intention of Elvis is now repeating itself through modern music.
Yeah.
Same idea.
So it's a ripple effect again.
Yeah. Fractals are amazing. I think one of the problems we're going to have if we ever do meet them is being able to talk to them.
Yeah.
There is a novel way. There is a novel way to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's fractals. You think about it, anything with intelligence can recognize a fractal. And we see it in nature all the time. Imagine you're standing on a hill and you see the wind blowing, and the wind's blowing across the tops of the trees.
Yeah.
And it's blowing in a wave. That's a fractal. Look in the cosmos and you see the spinning galaxies. Those follow fractals. So you got the micro to the macro, and everything seems to work on fractals. There's lots of different types of fractal sets. So if you could base a language based on fractals, then anything with intelligence is going to recognize that language. So I've also developed, I'll send it to you. I've developed a universal language based on fractals.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And it's to the point where you could actually communicate with a snail, for example. Because, snails are attracted. Snails have intention.
Right.
They intend to go get a drink of water or whatever, right? They intend to go that way. But they're informed by their immediate surroundings through sensory inputs, right? They can sense parts of they can sense where the moist spots are, right? They understand things on a level that we don't in terms of fractals and gradients and temperature gradients and stuff like that. So if you could impart for example, a message into the ground by thumping that imparts the same information that the fractal would, you could actually tell that snail to go somewhere, like towards the water.
Is that
Inverse-
like binary code? Daryl
Inverse
wants to know?
that, I mean, it's just an example how fractals could be used to communicate with any type of intelligent life.
Yeah.
And AI already understands fractals, right? Artificial intelligence knows fractals. I could communicate with AI that way. I could communicate with a snail that way. I communicate with a chimpanzee or a human that way. We are, English language is just a form of symbology.
Yeah.
Same with any other type of language. I mean, it's once you understand the language set and what the thing's telling you, you can communicate. It's like all these, when you first start looking at advanced mathematics, you get equations about this long, right? And it's pretty darn scary to look at them, right? Because it looks like alien speak, right?
Yeah.
If you ignore those separate operators, really what you still see the pluses, you still see the minuses, you still see the multiplication, you still see the power signs. Yeah. All that basic stuff you learned in basic mathematics is still there. So if you think in terms of math as telling a story, if you think about it from the outside in instead of from the inside out, if you think about math as telling a story, as describing the reality, then by golly, you can understand what that equation's saying without really knowing what the statistics part is. In other words, I don't have to know what the square root of pi is off the top of my head, just because I'm seeing it in the equation, because I know that operator is doing a specific thing in the equation. Right. It's creating the effective noise. And this is the equation for that part of the equation. Okay, that's what it does. Move on. Yeah. Does that make sense? It's just mathematics itself is just another language.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it's really hard to get my head around it.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying, but it just won't sink in.
I'm probably just talking because I'm excited about this stuff. Yeah, obviously I get up real early in the morning and study it, and because I really do believe I'm onto something here. I really do.
Yeah.
Again, is the universe intentional? Given that it is, my math works. I've asked AI up and down. It's because at first I was concerned it was just fluffing me along, right? It's fluffing me, trying to make me feel good.
Yeah.
But I've tried to break it. I've tried my best to break my model, and I have yet to do it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
if the universe is intentional, then whose intent was it to create the universe?
Another philosophical and outstanding question. And honestly, I mean, who could know? Who could know? And it kind of goes back on, and you could also ask the same thing about gravity. What gives gravity its intrinsic power? Its intrinsic force. I mean, the four fundamental forces they have intrinsic force. Well, where does that intrinsicity come from? Why is it intrinsic?
Well, that's the thing, though.
It's really the same question. I mean,
are we creating?
And I'm proposing that intention is just another of those forces. So it's really the same question for all five of them.
But what if? Is it possible that we could be creating all this? We're manifesting it, and that's why it's here, and that's why it's working.
Absolutely.
And it's not
absolutely.
Sorry?
Because there's different scales of intention.
Yeah. So what if we're creating all this? We're giving the intent unknowingly or subconsciously doing it, and we're just thinking we're just living life, but we're creating all this stuff that's going on around us.
Well, I guess that you'd have to study the definition of we in that case. Are we talking about we as in humans, or do we include Do we include
Oh.
the other life forms on Earth, like worms
Well,
and
I
turtles?
suppose we'd have to. Yeah, because
You
without
would have
them,
to, right? You would have
Yeah,
to, right?
yeah,
Okay.
plants.
Well, what about off? Assuming there is off-world, what about them? So we'd have to include their intentions too, wouldn't we?
But then,
So collectively, you could be exactly right, but let's not forget human intelligence isn't the only one. We've got
no.
other life forms.
But I'm just thinking then. So whether these other off-planet entities, they could be causing the downfall of stuff that's going on Earth because their origin, say it's not from Earth, their origin isn't from there. So they're trying to create something that doesn't belong here, and that's what's causing all this crap that's going on at the moment. Like, I don't mean like with the government. I'm talking about natural disasters and all that kind of stuff. It's having an adverse effect.
Yeah, and in that case, what's the long-term agenda? I mean, maybe their view of time is different than ours. We're caught up in this little tiny moment of time, and it seems all messed up to us, right? There's undesirable things happening right now in this moment, right? But maybe it's all the ends justify the means somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe we had to go through this in order for things to get better eventually. I don't know.
No, I've not got a clue either. Just questions just pop in my head, so I ask them.
Yeah. But every question brings up like 5 more questions. Okay, if we are creating the universe and creating reality, but who created us?
That's kind of the same question that's the first question about, okay, if intention then created the universe, then where did the intention come from? And
chicken and the egg, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, you kind of have the same question for a black hole, or not a black hole, but the singularity, right? For the Big Bang, right? The Big Bang theory states that everything started from a non-dimensional point in space.
Yeah.
Right. Called the singularity, and then for some reason it just expanded from there, and it still is.
Yeah.
Well, same question. Where did that singularity and all that energy come from?
Where, when, why, when, and what?
So it's the same question as where did the intention come from?
Yeah.
Excellent question.
Hello. Do you
It's
think
a
we'll
hard
ever
one
know?
because there's nothing. There's nothing nowhere.
Right.
Oh.
But even our leading theory about the Big Bang asks the same question that the gentleman was asking about, or the woman was asking about, where did the intention come from, or where did the singularity come from?
Yeah. But
it's the same. It's a damn good question, is what it is.
But what if we are all wrong and all this is actually nothing? Because we're creating it.
Nothing.
But because we're creating it. No. Think about it this way. If we're creating it, yeah, technically it's still nothing because it's an illusion. It's being manifested. It's not real.
Reality is subjective.
Everything's subjective. This show is subjective.
It's just very subjective.
But
here's a thought, right? I guess there's no way to really tell the answer, so I have to assign it 50-50 odds.
Yep.
So work on the assumption that you're right and start manifesting things in your life that are good.
Tried.
Worst case is you're wrong, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's frustrating. So I'm gonna ask Kevin the question, but I'm gonna change it a little bit. So because we normally talk about paranormal and ghosts and spirits. So the ultimate question, Kevin, if you could find out exactly what is going on, I don't mean like not through your research or anything like that. Some source comes up to you and says, right, Kevin, today's the day you're going to find out what it's all about, what the intention is, who the creator was and is, what's going on, whether it's manifested, whether it's a simulation, whether it's AI and all that. They will tell you 100% truth exactly what it all is. Would you like to know? Or would you like to find out through your own research? And you'd be a bit, whether you're right or wrong.
I want to be the guy that tells them.
Yeah. Like that
So
answer.
I want to do my
You're
own
going to be the
research.
guy that tells me because I want to know.
Yeah. She just wants to
And
know everything.
Yeah.
I do want to know everything.
But Andy, I know this sounds weird, but I can tell you beyond any reasonable doubt that I have been being monitored for many, 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 many years.
Yeah.
Online, in town. I've seen them in town.
Yeah.
At the golf course. I've had people come and turned out to be agents that turned out to be happenstance acquaintance meeting them.
Yeah.
And I can tell you all the stories. It's happened.
Wow.
And recently too. I'm being watched. And I think I'm being given a degree of freedom to figure out some of the stuff I'm telling you about. And then again, I could be completely wrong about this. But I have to tell you what I've experienced. And that, I mean, how else do you explain me coming up with this math? I'm not a mathematician, but yet it works.
Yeah.
And true, I had a lot of help. But if you think about intention, right? Think about this. What better way for intention to prove itself than for intention to derive the equations that explain it, that describe it?
So the
maybe
intention
used me to describe itself.
The intention created itself to give the answers that you had, that you didn't know you had, that you could put down on paper.
Right. And AI arrived just in the nick of time to help me.
Yeah.
Because I could have never done this without the help of AI. Because I'm not a trained mathematician. Hi, hon.
Hi.
Yeah.
The wife came home. Yay.
So do you think then AI is for the better? Because I know a lot of people are against AI. And a lot of people are for it. But for what I use it for, I like it. It serves its, like you said before, it serves its purpose. But I don't know. Do you think it's a good thing?
Well, I think it's going to have to be, because we're stuck with it. We're stuck with it.
Yeah.
So here it is. So now the question becomes, okay, how do I make it better in my own personal life? Because I can't control a lot of this. And I'll just give you a couple of examples. If let's say you're a student in high school, right?
Yeah.
Well, then in the way school is now, you do a lot of home study, a lot more than you used to, right?
Yeah.
Homeschooling. So use it as a tool. I mean, don't rely on it to write all your papers, but why not let it do the outline? So you get a good start. This is how the paper should. And after a while, what'll happen is you won't need it as much anymore, because when you go through that process, you're learning. It's teaching you. It's just like happened to me. I didn't start out with the intent of learning mathematics, but because I've seen these equations so often, suddenly I understand them. It's like I went to school for it, but I didn't. I did it at home with the help of AI and getting up and putting in the effort.
Yeah.
So that's my answer. It ain't going to do any good to be afraid of it. Some people were likely afraid of electricity, right, when that first came on the scene, because after all, it can kill you.
Well,
right?
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
Same with locomotives. Same with automobiles. Yeah, they can run over you. I mean, I had fear associated with that.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to make it go away. So adopt it to your own life somehow. And another example is, like me, I like to cook.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll go in the kitchen and I'll see I have this, and this, and I'll go in AI and I'll say I've got this, and this, make me a recipe for dinner.
What can I make? Yeah.
I mean, the practical stuff.
Ah, yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't need a chef. You don't need a personal chef anymore.
Mhm. I mean, there's all kinds of examples. And
Yeah.
when we're offline here, when we're
I was gonna say
offline here, send me some examples to use on my prediction models, and I'll send you the results. It's going to blow you away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you predict the lotto numbers?
It doesn't It doesn't do that type of predictions.
No.
No.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it doesn't do that type of
Yeah.
prediction. No. This is like likelihoods, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibilities.
It's not a Nostradamus machine. It produces likelihoods based on history.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the past lotto numbers, and the ones that are most highly likely to come up this time because they haven't come up before in a long time, right? So my models do the same type of thing. It'll go back and look at past history. It'll crunch the numbers using my math formulas, and then it does a presentation based on an outline that I've worked out. But it's not gonna predict the. Now, when the election came up, I was able to actually predict the number of electoral votes that won the election for Donald Trump. But who was going to win it turned out to be a 50-50.
Right.
If that makes any sense, because it turned out to be the same number of electoral votes either way, according to my math. So I nailed one and missed the other one. I thought Harris was going to win, but that was probably my own bias, to be honest about it.
We have a couple more questions.
Yeah, just before you ask that next questions, I just want to jump in with something. So we was talking about dreams the other week, and I read somewhere that you don't dream about having a mobile phone. Well, we was all at a convention. So there's me, you, people in the chat, some other people I know at this paranormal convention, and I had to get hold of somebody, and I pulled my phone out of my pocket, and I'm there texting and making phone calls. The first time ever I recall using a mobile phone in a dream, and it was my own phone as well. So that's a load of nonsense of that theory. But anyway. Right. So next question. Sorry. This is from Sober Carper. Does Kevin think that UFO, UAP are solely off-world or ET, or does he believe that these can also be demonic in origin?
Wow, what an excellent question. And generally, I would have to say yes. But linguistics and terminologies really come into play here.
Yeah.
And I think it all goes back to intentions. Intentions can be negative, they can be neutral, or they can be positive, or they can be fractional in between, right?
Yeah.
In other words, it doesn't have to jump from one to the other. It can be a linear, or it can be an exponential curve right in between them. And the reason why I bring that up is because of the soul, the human soul.
Yeah.
I've kind of explained one reason why I think UAP is on Earth is to get our rocks, if you will. They're here for our rocks.
Right.
The other reason is, and don't let this scare you when I say this, they're here for our souls.
Lovely.
But not in the way that you think. They're not here to kill us, to capture our soul. No. I believe they're here to ascertain the intentions of some of us for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because I know this. I know that gravity cannot be destroyed. I know that electromagnetism cannot be destroyed. I know the nuclear forces cannot be destroyed. They're intrinsic. They're indestructible. They can be transformed and modified, but they cannot be destroyed. Now, if I'm right about the fundamental force of intention, guess what? Intention can't be destroyed either. So therefore, when we die, what happens to the intention? Well, your soul probably doesn't die, right?
Nope,
it continues
it's still there.
It's a fundamental force. How's it going to die? You can't kill it. I can't kill gravity. Now, the issue here is because I know that intention can be negative, neutral, or positive, then what happens with negative intention souls?
Yeah.
So the answer has to be yes to that last question. As much as I don't like it, keeping an open mind, I have to say yes.
Yeah.
It's all true. It's all true.
100% they're not, then there's always a possibility that they are.
The good and the bad and the ugly is all true.
Question is from Simon. Kevin, have you had any more UFO sightings before or since the Tic Tacs?
Yes. I graduated high school in 1980, and I ended up going to community college, and when does that ever work out for anyone, right? Especially back in the 80s. Anyway, I got bored. I graduated, got bored, and had itchy feet because out of high school I was an exchange student to Australia, and I got the travel bug, right?
Yeah.
So I took off, and I ended up going to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, because in high school I liked to ski and I liked the outdoors and stuff. So I became a ski bum in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. My parents were there at the time, and I was working nighttime at the local school as a janitor, skiing in the daytime. Anyway, we're at a camping trip. We're coming back into Jackson, and my brother-in-law stops the Jeep, and he picks up the binoculars, and he's looking. And I look where he's looking, and I grabbed my other pair of binoculars. I look, and there's this, for lack of a better way to describe it, a silver UFO just kind of hovering above a mountain. A hillock. I shouldn't say it was a one.
Yeah.
Because we got huge mountains in Jackson, right? The Grand Tetons. It was above the hillock, just kind of sitting there. And we watched it for a time. And we said, okay. And not thinking much of it, we went home and ate dinner and forgot all about it. The only one I ever seen up to the Tic Tacs that I can recall, right?
Yeah.
About, I think it was 2 years ago, my wife and I were sitting out here on the front porch, and a big white jet went flying right across the hills here, a lot lower than it should have been, and it dropped something out of the bottom of it. And I said, "Oh shit!" It was summertime, and it was bright and shiny. It's like those fools didn't drop a flare. You know, I was worried about them starting a fire, and all of a sudden this thing, whatever it was, went just off like a bat out of hell towards the southeast.
Wow.
There's something odd about the southeast direction. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm working on it.
Interesting.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know when you do get to the point of knowing.
So I haven't had a lot of encounters like a lot of people have. Like a lot of people have actually had abduction experiences, like my wife Kim. And there's a couple other ones in the community that have had close encounters. I've never had one of those. But when people tell me they have, certainly don't. The first thing I think of, I don't think they're crazy. I'm not that kind. Having been through this myself, that's the last thing I think, even though I know it's possible.
Yeah, nickname saying that your wife needs to come on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty lonely experience, I got to tell you. No one's going to believe you, especially nowadays. It's easier, right? But for the last 80 years, it hasn't been so easy. This has ended pretty badly for some people.
Yeah.
It almost ended. It almost ended badly for me. I'll just tell you. I got damn lucky.
Do you not worry now?
Worry?
Yeah, about what's going on.
With what?
like with the surveillance, shall we say?
Oh, no. In fact, I am totally at peace with it.
Just give them a little wave when you walk past.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
I'll send myself emails and say, "Yeah, I see you watching me."
Show some leg.
Yeah. Or I'll see him in town and I'll get back and I'll put something on Facebook. Yeah, I saw you in town. Just to let them know that I did see him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're watching, so they know what you're posting.
Oh yeah. And some of my stuff.
You get pictures of them posting it. You're surveilling them when they're surveilling you.
Yeah. See what? Sometimes my prediction models are so concern me so greatly.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make this political, but some of the things that are happening here in the United States right now give me reason for concern, because I've run it through some of my prediction models, and the interpretations are not pretty.
No.
But the problem is when I try to explain what I'm seeing, some people take my interpretations as threats. Like I purposely, I'm the guy that's going to do stuff, but that's not the case. I'm presenting what my math tells me, and it's always been a struggle, and hopefully I've done a decent job with it. And there's been a time or two when others have pointed it out and said, "Hey, Kevin, be careful." And I definitely appreciate that, because it's tough.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that intention in my heart, man. Believe me, I love people.
No.
That's why I'm speaking out.
Yeah. No,
I'm not
I
doing
really
this
do appreciate. Absolutely appreciate everything you tell us. Really do. Thank you.
Yes. We have one.
Well, no, I'm not scared. I'm not worried.
No.
If they wanted to take me down, they could have done it a long time ago. They had the opportunity in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Yep. I could tell you the whole story. They had me alone out there. They could have killed me. No one would have ever known. That's a whole nother story. I found a geological deposit here that right now President Trump, he wants to get Greenland and Canada. You know why?
Why?
Minerals. Deposits in the ground, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons. I'm sure he has others, right? How much time we got left? I might as well tell you this story.
15,
20 minutes.
Okay. Right when this happened, right? I quit DOD, and I decided to go get my master's degree at Sacramento State, which I did. But it was pretty boring, I have to say. Maybe I picked the wrong major. I got it in education.
Right.
But because my background was in training and stuff, it made a lot of sense, and I don't regret it. I mean, I did learn a lot of good stuff that I use even now, right? But I kind of get bored, to be honest. So I started researching an old family mining claim back here in Cave Junction, Oregon, in the Illinois Valley in Southern Oregon, right? It had been in my family and still is for 100 years, called Bald Eagle Mine, a gold placer claim, right, back in the Kalmiopsis Wilderness. And I got this wild idea, and they could never find the mother lode, right? As hard as they tried. And I got this wild obsession that I could, for some reason. And I remember talking to my grandfather before he passed. He said, "Kevin, you don't understand. We weren't finding gold nuggets like Takilma bench gravel that's also here." He said the gold we were getting was so fine, when you looked at it through a magnifying glass or a microscope, it looked like snowflakes.
Right.
He said, "Damn, boy, we lost more than we ever found because we couldn't capture it." So I went back there. I was thinking, now that's weird, because that means the gold's coming from a close source. Otherwise, it look like ball bearings, right? So I started doing research online and stuff, and I figured out our mining deposit is actually related to a much larger piece of geology called the Josephine ophiolite. And what an ophiolite is, it's a section of ground from the mid-Pacific spreading arcs. In this case, there's like 7 of them around the world. And normally that ground, it's so heavy because it's mineral deposits laid down in layers by hydrothermal vents. Again, hydrothermal vents come up, right? And it spreads out, and normally the ground's so heavy it subducts under continental plates, because continental plates are a lot lighter in density, in mass, right? So, but when it does get stuck on top of dry land, it's called an ophiolite. And that's what we have.
Right.
We have stratified mineral deposits that go down 7 to 8 miles or 8 to 10 kilometers deep into the ground and inland an unknown distance. So the ground here beneath my feet is probably worth enough money to pay off the national debt.
Wow.
Because remember what we have here is ground laid down by hydrothermal vents, and it's already stratified mineral deposits. And hydrothermal vents are known to geologists as the Earth's original mineral sorters. So already down in the ground here, if we got mineral deposits in layers. So what happened was, I forget it, I put it on the internet, I published it, and I went on live. The Dear Moon mission came out. Elon Musk said, we're going to take 8 civilians, go ahead and apply, but he has to tell us why. So I did. I sent him all my research, out here mowing the lawn. 4 days later, a huge white plane goes flying right across the top of the wilderness. Did a circle around my mining claim, all over the state of Oregon. I jump online. It was a flight from NASA. Coincidence?
No.
Perhaps. I don't think so, though. No. They did a circle right around my mining claim. I can show you the picture. I got it. I went online and I got it. So that's another weird thing that happened. It was like, it's just what an amazing.
Oh, all right.
I mean, what an amazing turn of fate. I don't know. It's just, because he's I don't know why they got to go to Canada, because I told Musk, I said, you know, this is wilderness, but if you took your existing boring technology and you repurposed it, you could mine these deposits from underneath the ground and not even destroy it. You wouldn't destroy the cities, you wouldn't destroy the topology on the top, you wouldn't destroy the wilderness, nothing. And we could extract those. And so I gave him that idea, and that's when the NASA flight happened. Well, the cool thing is, because of that, what I get out of it personally is I don't want it, you know, I didn't do it for money, but the thing I cling on to is during one of these surveys, and NASA's done more than one, by the way, is they ended up finding more hydrothermal vents that are still alive right off the coast of Seattle.
Oh.
They didn't know they were there.
Wow.
And,
so how did you how were they?
Andy, think about this. If there's active thermal vents off the coast of Seattle, what is that telling you? It screams tsunami to me.
How are these thermal vents detected?
From a LiDAR.
Right.
LiDAR.
Yeah.
Different types of radar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus they probably done an expedition out there by now and went down and looked.
Right.
But there's an active fault there. There was a chief Native American called Chief Seattle. The town of Seattle, the city of Seattle is named after him. Yeah. And they never lived down there where Seattle is, because they knew every so often, about 300 years, as it turns out, there's a huge tsunami.
Right.
And here we have an earthquake called the Cascadia. And every 300 years it happens. And the last one that happened here was 330 years ago.
Right.
So the Pacific Northwest is overdue for a big quake.
Nice.
And to be able to define this tsunami threat just in the nick of time, because the NASA flight found them, because of my research that I gave Elon.
Yeah.
For me, that's all the payback I need.
Yeah.
Just the idea that maybe I saved some lives.
Yeah.
I know that sounds corny,
No,
Oh.
I get where
but
you're coming from.
it's what I have.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
this is the sort of research that we need.
Mhm.
Not like the that I do. I'm sat at a computer just looking at stuff on YouTube and Google and that. But
Yeah,
people like
that's my
yourselves,
kind of research.
yeah,
Well,
but
you're a
like
content creator.
real,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're a content creator. It's
Yeah,
different.
I just don't have time. But
Yeah.
for people like you to go out and you're studying 24/7 to work out what's going on, where it's happening, why it's happening, they're the most important people about at the moment, I think.
Mhm.
Thank you, God.
Honestly,
I almost
no,
died out in my wilderness.
this is what we need is more people like yourself.
Yes, definitely.
100%.
Thank you.
No, thank you. We're the ones that should be thanking you. So,
Yeah.
absolute pleasure having you on.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
next question.
Right,
we have
one more,
left.
but
This
it's
is for
kind of going.
Oh, we're
off
done.
topic.
Okay. All right.
It's
A
gone
little
off
off topic.
It's gone off topic a little bit.
Oh.
It's still
Little bit.
paranormal.
That's okay. Any topic's a good topic. This is from
Yeah.
Adam. Kevin, have you experienced any poltergeist activity as seems to often happen?
No, either that or I'm not scared by it.
Right.
I know it's there, but my approach to it has always been out of respect. I respect it, so I kind of leave it alone.
Yeah.
In other words, I don't purposely turn on Ghost Hunting Channel to watch it. I mean, I have a lot of respect for it, so it's not an interest area of mine.
Yeah, fair enough.
Although odd things do happen around me, like and I bet you can relate to this, right? Because it's pretty common in the UAP community, as I found out later. I'll be out working in the yard or whatever, and I'll walk into the house, just happen to walk by the stove, the digital clock, and it's all of a sudden 11:11. Or it's 22:22. Or it's 1:23, or it's 4:56.
Yeah.
It's those numbers keep happening all day long, and I'm not doing it on purpose. Or in the morning, I'll wake up, I'll turn over at the clock. It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
In the morning.
I get.
Or it's 252, my MADAR code. I haven't talked about MADAR, but it's one of my research things I do. Go ahead.
Right. I get 3:33 when I feel when I feel my van up in the morning. I tried to do it on purpose, but now I can just do it. I'll get like say 47, so £47, 47 pence, or bang on £50, do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Without even trying to do it anymore, I can just do it. And that was really weird because, as I said, 3:33, Simon put that in the chat.
All the time.
Because everybody knows that's your numbers.
It's not though.
It happens to you guys too?
Yeah,
all
Andy
the time.
3:33 all the time. I always get 11:11s.
Yeah. So how do you interpret it? And again, this could be our own bias, human bias, right? But I choose to allow it to say, yes, Kevin, you're on the right track. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Well, so that's supposed to be what 11:11 means.
Yeah. I interpret it as serendipity. Now, when a clock goes backwards, like 3, 2, 1, I kind of relate that to synchronicity. Something that's something that came to fruition over a longer period of time. It's more synchronous and serendipitous, if that makes sense. Again, I could be full of shit.
I think it's
I don't know what else to make of it because it just keeps happening.
Yep.
It's what it means.
I try to make it not happen, but it happens anyway. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it's really what it means to you, and like intent, the universe showing you signs that you need to see that means something significant to you.
If intention is real, then I can believe that.
Yeah. It's got to be. I don't believe in coincidences anymore. I used to, but just through speaking to people, through doing this, it's like completely gone out the window. If it happens, it happens, and there's a reason behind it. It's just finding out what that reason is.
Yeah.
Or both things could be true at once. There is intention and there is coincidence at the same time. I mean, nothing's. I wish everything could be binary, yeah, either yes or no, but reality is a lot more complex than yes or no usually.
Yeah, it'd be too easy, that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because I take my like 1111s to mean something different than like when I get my 222s. So I feel like I see that when I need to see them.
Nicole, I have a challenge for you. You go, ask Chat GPT and let it do the heavy lifting for you. Write in some of those numbers and have GPT say, impress me by telling me what these numbers might mean, or something along those lines. Just see what it pops out.
There you go.
You might be amazed.
Yeah.
Homework for
Friday. A lot of,
homework.
That can be a homework for Friday.
So Andy, you have to do 333s then. I'll do 1111s and you do 333.
Well, I used to get a lot of 7s, and then now it's just 333. I ignore the 1111s. I get a lot of 1313s as well.
Huh.
So, but I don't see 13 as unlucky, because originally it wasn't an unlucky number. It's an all new show on its own. It's like 666.
I get 2s and 5s a lot.
Anybody know a numerologist?
Brandon.
Is Brandon a numerologist? What is it, Brandon?
Yeah, what is it, Brandon?
Brandon is everything.
He's a
astrology, numerology.
Astrology, yeah, he does numerology, yeah, because we've got that little chat going, haven't we? So, yeah, not put anything in that for a while. I'm going to start taking photos and just putting loads of crap in it.
That's what we're going to talk about. That's going to be our next rabbit hole with him.
Yes, yeah. So we have come to the end of the show time. Sorry. There you go. Yeah. See,
we'll have to do it again.
Oh, 100%, definitely.
Right, right.
Without a doubt. So massive thank you for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. My honor.
Absolute pleasure to have you on here.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Nicole.
Nice to meet you too.
And you're in New York, right?
I am.
Oh, right on.
Yep.
Is it snowing?
It's snowing a little bit. Nothing crazy right now, but there is a lot of snow on the ground.
Yeah, we had a big storm, and now I just got patches.
The snow.
But it's like 32 outside.
Yeah.
All right, you guys.
Right. Well, massive thank you again. I'll definitely be in touch for you to come back on. It's going to be towards summer because we are just guests galore this year, and we've got loads of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. So we will be doing a roundup update over the next couple of weeks, hopefully, as long as we can organise a time and tell you exactly what we've got coming up for the show. So thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you, our subscribers. Thank you, our tier members on Patreon and YouTube. Thank you to everyone who's going to be listening on Apple Podcast Player, Apple, Spotify, all the others. I don't know. It's too many. And yeah, that's it. We will be back on Friday when our guest will be Dr. Martin Abbas, who is a GP from London. He's wrote a book and he's going to be talking about other things. He does astral projection and remote viewing, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be going down that rabbit hole on Friday. So
I'll send you some equations on remote viewing that I came up with.
Yes, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's intention-based. No, they're intention-based remote viewing equations.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to check those out.
All right.
Yes, 100%. So we're going to end it now, and we will see you
on Friday. Valentine's Day.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah. See you later.
Adios.
Thank you, Kevin.
Welcome.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So Kevin had to go because he's got his brother coming staying over, so he's got to get everything sorted. So that's where I had to go. Yeah, we've got quite a lot of things coming up. I am getting my merchandise apparently delivered tomorrow, according
Ooh.
to Temu, but don't trust them.
Oh, speaking of delivered, I got a package. Do you want to see real quick? Do we have a minute? We have like literally half a second.
Got 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, hold on. I have to do a live unboxing.
Do we know what it is?
I know what
you
it
know
is.
what it is.
I know what it is.
It's a
It
case.
is in a fancy case. Let's see if I can open it. It is a robot.
What?
A robot.
Oh, a broken
It
robot.
was a robot.
Yeah,
So
it's a row broke now.
all right, so these things are like the next big thing in ghost hunting and investigating because they are motion sensitive. So you wave your hand in front of it, or something walks in front of it, and it follows it around the room. So we'll see how it goes. We've used them before. No girl. No, please send me a picture of those though. I want them.
They're awful.
They're adorable.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know how you get on with that.
Yeah. But I'm obsessed with these things now.
Excellent. Right, so what does it say on your t-shirt? Because a couple of people have asked and we can't see the bottom of it.
It says, I was going to be a sexy ghost hunter for Halloween, but how would that be different from every other day of the year?
Yay.
It was a birthday gift.
Excellent. Yes. What else did you get? Just quickly. Well, we have got a couple of minutes. So, you got the microphone, which has made a massive difference.
Yes.
That
my lovely microphone.
That's really... You can hear you now.
I know. And it lights up. It's so pretty. Yeah. I got a couple other things.
Yeah. Chocolates. Ghost chocolates.
No.
Or candy or something.
Oh, yes, I did get candy.
Well, like ghost shape and don't know, you put it all on Facebook. Just start on Facebook.
No, I shared that because I want that.
Oh, I thought you got that.
No, I said it's the best thing ever. It's like this coffin shaped like Valentine's box with ghost chocolates in it.
Got ya. Right.
Hint, hint, if anybody wants to get me ghost chocolates for Valentine's Day.
There you go. You got 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days.
Start out. Yeah. Right. So we are done. We are back on Friday. Our last Friday transmission as a podcast is the 18th of April. There's nothing as of the 25th. It's just going to be Wednesdays. But we are going to be putting more content on the channel and so on and so on. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it. Yes. But feel free to subscribe, to join the membership. Membership is as little as $1.99 and as much as £15,000 a month, depending if you want to do a week's investigating anywhere in the world, but you got to do 2 months, so it's 30 grand.
Yeah.
So yeah,
everybody has a price. Andy's is 30 grand.
That's starting price. That's quite low, really, isn't it? Yeah. Right. So on that note, we are done. Get your questions in for Dr. Martin Abbas on Friday. Got guests all the way up until May, going into June now. We've got Jim Goodall coming back on. He confirmed halfway through the show. I'm now back on LinkedIn. So there's a lot of people on LinkedIn, or that used to be on Facebook, that are not on Facebook anymore. So it's the only way of contacting them. Heidi Hollis says she'll come back on. And there's a few others that I'm waiting to hear back from. So on that note, going to end it. And we will see you on Friday. Don't be late, Nicole.
If there was traffic, what did you want me to do? Run down a school bus?
Drive through it. Just drive straight through it. Right. Have a wonderful 2 days. I'll see you then. Take care.
Goodbye.